If your jaw looks quite puffy and you want it to look a lot sharper, you might need to debloat your face. Doing this will ensure that your jaw looks sharper, your cheekbones look more defined, your eye bags reduce in size, and it will ensure that your overall facial appearance improves. So, in this video, we're going to go over the two parts of debloating your face and how to do each properly. This will ensure that your overall facial puffiness decreases and your jaw, eyes, cheekbones, etc. all become more defined. Now, firstly, what you need to understand before we even begin is that facial bloating is only a small part of why your cheeks look puffy. Learning to debloat properly is only going to have a small effect on the overall definition of your jaw, and this is important to understand because a lot of people have this illusion that debloating their face is going to give them hollow cheeks and completely reveal their jaw and bone structure, but it isn't. Anytime you see a video on TikTok claiming that they fully improved their jaw in just 3 days by debloating it, it's not actually true. Most of these transformations take weeks or months to make and mostly come down to getting to a very low body fat percentage. Now, did they debloat? Absolutely, I have no doubt about it. But debloating is only going to get you so far, and the majority of results you'll get will come from getting lean. So before we watch the rest of this video, I need you to understand that if you want to get hollow cheeks, this will only get you so far, and you should mostly focus on reducing your body fat percentage. So now that we understand this first point, I'm still going to show you how to debloat your face the right way. So to understand how to debloat your face properly, we first need to understand the main causes of facial bloating in the first place. I'm specifically referring to bloating in your face because bloating in your stomach, for example, can also be due to other reasons. So really bloating within your face comes down to two things: too much water retention and too much inflammation. These are the only two reasons why your face looks puffy or bloated, and these are therefore the two aspects we'll cover throughout this video. So I'll show you how you can improve each so you can reduce how puffy your face looks. So firstly, what we should place our attention on is learning to reduce the amount of inflammation in our body. So what inflammation will do and the way it's going to cause more bloating within our face is as follows. So firstly, the reason your body creates inflammation is because inflammation is there to defend your body against threats. Anytime your body perceives something as a threat, like certain foods, infections, chronic stress, and so on, your immune system releases pro-inflammatory molecules that defend your body against those threats. So this is very useful when it comes to injuries or wounds, but it becomes a problem when your body is chronically inflamed. Now, whenever your body releases those inflammatory molecules, they will dilate your blood vessels, and when your blood vessels become wider, they can become more leaky, meaning that fluids seep out into surrounding tissues. So whenever fluids accumulate into soft tissues of your face, like your under eyes, cheeks, and jaw, they'll appear more bloated and puffy. So inflammation within your body, which although is a necessary thing for your body's health, will cause more bloating within your face, so it's important that you reduce it. Now, the way you reduce inflammation will mainly be through improving three aspects of your life: your nutrition, your lifestyle, and your exposure to environmental factors. These are the three main causes of inflammation within your body, so we'll cover each in depth so you know how to control your inflammation levels. So the first step you can take towards reducing inflammation within your body is to improve your dietary intake. What you eat and what you put in your body can cause a lot of inflammation within your body if you're not consuming the right things. And this will generally be a big cause of inflammation for people. Most people consume things on a daily basis that causes inflammation within their gut, which is inflammation that will physically show on their face. And most people aren't even aware that those foods that they consume are causing them to look worse and look more bloated. So when it comes to reducing inflammation through your diet, the most important thing you can do is remove the things that are causing inflammation in the first place. Adding things that can help manage inflammation is also a good idea, but you'll get most of the benefits from removing the things that are causing it in the first place. So what we'll do is break down each category of food that is causing that inflammation so you'll know what to avoid. I'll break them down in order of importance, so follow this list chronologically. Also keep in mind that you don't need to remove them completely, you just need to reduce your intake of these foods. So here's a breakdown of what you'll need to avoid. First, you'll want to reduce any form of processed foods you consume. These contain tons of preservatives, artificial colors, emulsifiers, additives, and chemicals that your gut doesn't recognize and sees as a threat. So reduce your processed food consumption as much as you can. Secondly, you'll need to avoid alcohol. So alcohol contains a lot of ethanol, which is again something your gut doesn't recognize and therefore activates your immune system that releases inflammatory molecules to fight it off. Then thirdly, you'll need to reduce your sugar intake. Anything that contains sugars, especially refined sugars from snacks, drinks, sweets, or just processed foods in general, is again something that causes an inflammatory reaction in your body. So reduce your sugar intake outside of fruits. Then fourthly, what you should be avoiding is any form of seed oil. Anything like canola oil, rapeseed oil, sunflower oil, and other forms of plant oil need to be removed or reduced. Then fifth, you should be avoiding gluten. So this one is definitely not as bad as the previous four, but a lot of people still have inflammatory reactions to gluten, even if they don't have celiac disease. And then finally, you should be reducing your dairy intake. This one will depend from person to person, but it will still cause inflammatory reactions in some people, so you can also reduce your dairy intake. So if you want to reduce the amount of inflammation in your body through improving the way you eat, these are the things you should place your attention on. I understand that life can seem boring without these things, but again, you don't need to remove them completely, you just need to reduce your intake of these things. Now, the second step we can take towards reducing the amount of inflammation within our body is to improve the way we live. So similar to what we put in our body, what we do with our body can cause inflammation in it as well. So think about your sleep, activity levels, screen time, etc. Each of these things play a role in your lifestyle, and each of these things can cause your body to get inflamed if you engage in them too much or do them the wrong way. So here's again a breakdown of what you should do or focus your attention on if you want to reduce your inflammation levels through improving your lifestyle. So firstly, you should place your attention on having enough sleep quantity and quality. So this will be the most important thing you should do to avoid having higher cortisol or inflammation levels in your body. So I made a complete video about this a while ago, so you can watch that if you want to have a full explanation. Then secondly, you should ensure that you stay active enough. This will make sure that your body has well-regulated cortisol levels and therefore reduced inflammation levels. Then thirdly, you should expose yourself often enough to sunlight. Now, I understand that this is a controversial topic in the Looksmaxing space, and many people believe you should avoid the sun, but sun exposure will help your body reduce the amount of inflammation it has. Then fourth, you should expose yourself to natural surfaces, or what we call grounding. So this will, just like sunlight, help reduce the amount of inflammation and cortisol you have within your body. And then finally, fifth, you should avoid exposing yourself too often to blue light. So we know that blue light has negative effects on our overall health, and that includes the amount of inflammation in our body. Too much blue light will cause stress on our body, and that stress will cause inflammation. So try avoiding blue light if you can, or wear blue light blockers when you're exposed to them. So if you want to reduce the amount of inflammation you have in your body through improving your lifestyle, these are the things you should focus your attention on. Of course, there's other things that matter as well, but these are the fundamental things you should focus your attention on. And now the final thing you can do to reduce the amount of inflammation in your body is to control and protect your body from environmental factors. Some things within our environment can cause inflammatory reactions in our body when it gets exposed to these things. Therefore, by avoiding contact with these things, you'll reduce the amount of inflammation in your body. So here's a small breakdown of what you should avoid coming into contact with. Firstly, you should avoid any form of allergens. So this is probably the most important thing you should do for this, because anytime you have an allergic reaction, your face just gets super bloated, depending of course on the severity of the reaction. So just know what you're allergic to and avoid contact with it as best as you can. And then secondly, you should avoid certain medication. This will obviously be in the case that the ones you take are not necessary, so if they aren't, see if you actually need them and remove them if possible. So both of these are pretty much what you can do in terms of controlling environmental factors. I'm sure there's other things, but this will already help you a lot. So if you want to reduce how much inflammation you have in your body, to reduce the amount of bloating you have in your face, you'll need to fix your diet, fix your lifestyle, and protect yourself from environmental factors. So here's again a breakdown of what to do. Now, secondly, to reduce our facial bloating, we need to reduce the amount of water we hold within our face. So obviously, reducing the amount of water we hold in our face is also an important part of improving our bloating. So to do it properly, similar to reducing inflammation, there's again 3 aspects of your life you'll need to improve or things you'll need to implement. So these are your nutrition, a lymphatic drainage massage, and a specific training. Your nutrition should again avoid specific things. A lymphatic drainage massage is something you can implement to activate your lymphatic system. And finally, you can implement a specific training method to reduce the amount of water you hold in your face. Each of these will help you reduce water retention, so we'll cover each of them in detail. So firstly, if you want to reduce the amount of water you hold, you'll need to fix the way you eat again. This is going to be slightly different from the improvements you made to your diet to reduce inflammation. So improving your diet to reduce inflammation or water retention isn't the same thing. Now, in terms of improving your diet for facial bloating, there's 3 things you can improve. First, you need to make sure you have proper hydration. It's important you have enough water every single day because it will signal to your body that it doesn't need to hold on to any. Whenever you don't drink enough, your body feels like it has to hold on to any water it currently has, which can lead to more water retention. Therefore, by drinking enough water, you signal to your body that we have access to enough water and it therefore doesn't need to hold on to as much of it. So in terms of quantity, just make sure you have about 2 to 3 liters a day minimum. Then secondly, you need to make sure you balance out your sodium and potassium intake. So in a nutshell, sodium or salt will tend to hold on to more water, and potassium helps flush out any excess sodium. So through the reduction of sodium and the addition of potassium, you ensure that your body holds on to less water overall. Now, of course, you still need enough sodium for your overall health, but the point is to slightly reduce the amount of sodium you have and slightly increase the amount of potassium you consume. Now, reducing sodium will mostly be done by removing any form of processed foods and salt you put on your meals, and potassium can be increased through consuming high potassium foods like bananas, avocados, kiwis, oranges, and so on. And then finally, third, you need to reduce your sugar intake. So sugar, specifically refined sugars, will cause a big insulin spike in your body once you consume it, and that insulin spike can lead to more water retention. So sugars were also something that could cause inflammation in our gut. So overall, avoid sugars as much as you can, and in an ideal scenario, just remove them completely. Also, when I say sugars, I'm specifically referring to refined sugars. Fruits are perfectly fine. Don't believe anyone who tells you the opposite. So if you follow all three rules, you've essentially optimized your diet to reduce water retention. Each of these will ensure that your body holds onto as little water as possible. Now, secondly, what you can do to remove water retention is what's called a lymphatic drainage massage. So your lymphatic system essentially acts as a drainage system for your body. And when that system doesn't work properly and becomes sluggish, it becomes less efficient at removing fluids and toxins, and fluids can then accumulate in your face, making you look more puffy. So the way lymphatic drainage helps is through stimulating your lymphatic system, making it more efficient at removing built-up fluids and puffiness in your face. So the way you want to do it is the following. You want to start by washing your face and hands and making sure that they are wet. This will make your face smoother and allow for better movement. Once you've done that, you want to massage the following areas. You'll start by going from your ears to your neck 5 to 10 times, then from underneath your chin alongside your jaw to your ears, then from your nose to your ears, then underneath your eyes back and forth if you want to deep off your eyes, then from your forehead to your ears again, and to finish off you want to do a final neck massage as you did in the beginning. So this is something you can do once a day if you're trying to reduce any built-up fluids, but if you're simply trying to maintain a good lymphatic flow, 2 to 3 times a week will be enough. So this will help you both in the short term and the long term, so I would just find a rhythm that allows you to do it consistently. And now the final thing you can do to manage water retention is to train and stay active in a specific way. Whenever you train in a specific way, you can improve your lymphatic flow, which will allow it to reduce any built-up fluids you have in your face. So there's two main ways you can use training to optimize your facial bloating. The first is through low-intensity steady-state cardio, or LISS, and the second is through high-intensity interval training, or HIIT. Both will help you increase your blood flow and circulation and help you optimize your lymphatic flow, which will lead to less water retention. So firstly, low-intensity steady-state cardio is the type of cardio where your heart rate doesn't go up by much, but you can do it for a long time in a row. Think about walking, cycling, maybe jogging, any of these things. So the one we're going to be using is walking specifically, which we can do by walking either on a treadmill at an incline or just outside, and preferably doing these things fasted. So if you want to implement this, do it for about 30 to 45 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. Then secondly, high-intensity interval training is the type of cardio where you perform a very intense set for about a minute or less, and then rest or do something light for a few minutes afterwards. Think about sprinting for 30 seconds and then walking for 2 minutes. Think about doing a set of bench press and then resting for a few minutes. These are both forms of HIIT cardio, and both of them are really good for managing water retention. So the way I would advise you implement it is by implementing both of these into your routine and have a total amount of sessions of 3 to 7 per week. So you could have 2 weightlifting sessions and 1 sprinting session. You could have 3 weightlifting sessions and 2 sprinting sessions. So just try to combine both of them together and stick between that amount of sessions per week in total. So this is basically how you can optimize your training for reducing water retention. Implement a small walk, preferably every single day of the week, but at least 3 to 4 times a week, and try both weightlifting and sprinting and have a combined amount of sessions of 3 to 7 per week. So that's essentially how you can reduce the amount of water retention you have in your face. Fix the way you eat, potentially do a lymphatic drainage massage once a day, and train specifically to manage water retention. So this is about all you need to know to reduce facial bloating. Focus both on reducing your levels of inflammation and your levels of water retention through these methods right here. So thank you for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. You can join our free community where I explain all of the fundamentals you need to know about Looksmaxing and explain many more things than just debloating your face. It's completely free, so you can join it, see if you like it, and if you don't, you can always leave. So that's all I have for today. Peace.